Hi, you're welcome to the Cost of the Dream. I'm Mobu, and today we'll be discussing a topic that's been trending across social media. Is the UK a trap? This discussion has been trending lately, and I've seen a lot of different opinions. Having spent over 2 decades now as a diasporan myself, I think that the key difference here is perspective, because it depends on who you are and what you want out of life. You see, over the past 20 years, I've observed about 4 categories of people within the UK diaspora community, and I put them in a quadrant. One is the escapees. You have the system lovers, you have entrepreneurs and innovators, and then you have what I call generational diasporans. You see, the UK experience is totally different for people within all these diaspora community quadrants. The first set of people that I identified are the escapees. These are people who ran for their dear life. They left Africa purely to escape from severe hardship or some sort of hopelessness. In Africa, these individuals have looked around and they can't genuinely see a way up while still being in this environment. They may have been civil servants, nurses, junior bankers, teachers, low-wage employees in general. And this is not necessarily because they do not have a marketable skill, but mostly because they felt stuck within the Africa ecosystem. And, they listen to people that have traveled, they follow current affairs, they go on job sites, and they see that their counterparts around the world at least can afford a decent life. For these people, when they get to the UK, they get a job and they are loyal to this job for almost their entire life. They are now able to acquire some basic things that they could have never gotten if they were in Africa. Sometimes mostly on credit, and also they look forward to getting a mortgage. And when that day comes that they succeed with this ambition, they are fulfilled. And they spend their life within the UK system. They visit home rarely, once every 5 years. And for them, they will retire in the UK. There's no turning back. Maybe after retirement, depending on who is in power in their country, they may consider spending more time in Africa. But for people in this category, the UK is unlikely to ever feel like a trap. For them, Africa was some sort of prison. And now the UK, although may not be perfect, but they feel like they do not have any choice. So for them, the UK can never be a trap. The second category of people that we identified is the system lovers. These are people who to some extent had a decent life in Africa. They may have risen to higher positions or acquired higher paying tech skills. They are also essential professionals where they were, but felt that they may not be able to maximize their potential due to their, environment. And a lot of these people, have of late paid thousands of pounds to purchase COS, which is the certificate of sponsorship, or they have paid, a lot of money, thousands, to come and do a postgraduate study here in the UK, either a master's or a PhD. Some have also benefited from the global talent route. And some are the kids of the elite, in Africa, who their parents, for various reasons, do not want them to be in Africa for now. You will hear this category of individuals make references to better schools, infrastructure, serenity, and general well-being as their reason for moving to the UK. For these doctors, engineers, tech bros, and ladies, the UK is an opportunity to assimilate to the global economy and be rid of some of the challenges they faced back home. Even something as simple as being able to order from Amazon or use PayPal. They've paid their way out of the global discrimination that the world has placed on Africa, intentionally or unintentionally. For this category, they usually are very comfortable, at least for the first 10 years of their time in the UK. They're usually very comfortable. But I've seen that they may start to feel the weight of the UK, after this 10-year mark, and at this time they've risen in their positions at their workplaces. And for some of them, their tax is almost similar to their salary when they got to the UK over a decade ago. And they've not necessarily seen a rapid change in their lifestyle, so they may start to feel stuck much later in their experience, and depending on the severity of this feeling, this category may likely move to North America or other parts of Europe or Australia. Sometimes they venture into business, but they are in search of a freedom. Some people say financial freedom, but of a freedom that may or may never come. But they love the system. They prefer the West to Africa. So for this category, the UK being a trap is neither true nor untrue. But the question I like to ask people in this category is, imagine you lost your source of income. Imagine you lost your source of income for the next 6 months. What would your life look like 6 months later? Just something to think about. The next category are entrepreneurs and innovators. And no, I do not mean small-scale businesses as I categorize them with the system lovers. So your shop owners, operators, restaurant owners, care agency owners, beauty shop operators, owners are not necessarily in this category for me, even though they may fall in between the previous category and this category. But the difference for me is that entrepreneurs and innovators, EIs, are mostly trying to build a business where they do not necessarily have to get involved with the day-to-day operations. They have staff on payroll and want to build something that can compete with their UK, counterparts. From my observation of people in this category and having lived in this category myself, I can say that they may find the UK most challenging. They are trying to build something new, and they want to compete favorably with local players without the advantages and information accessible to these groups of people. And these people mostly do deals in golf clubs where membership might be over £5,000 a month. And you want to compete, for example, you want to compete with the high fashion guys in central London. Well, the rent for a shop can be over 20 grand a month. So you're looking at £240,000 for a whole year. This is before business rate, insurance, utilities, VAT, corporation tax, staff cost, and all these bills can run into thousands monthly. So for this category, the pressure is on to keep the lights on. And the system is often unfavorable and can be unforgiving because they are trying to break out of the norm. You see, when one person succeeds in this category, our entire community celebrates them. And young people look up to them. But what no one often discusses is many that fell by the wayside. I mean literally fell by the wayside. One of the biggest risks to people in this category is that one letter, one decision, one judgment can lead to cardiac arrest. So yes, do not let your dream die, but do not die because of your dream. Your health is also important, so please slow down and also prioritize your health. Prioritize yourself. Sometimes we see this group of people when some of them take the bold step to eject themselves from the UK system, either to the US or back home. We see that they become hugely successful because the UK had expanded their capacity beyond their own imagination. So in an environment that is more suitable to them, they tend to outcompete everyone else. So that might be something to consider if you see yourself in this category. But this category is likely to agree with the notion that the UK might feel like a trap. But sometimes they may have built escape routes for themselves in other places. And some that have not done so, some that do not have proven escape routes, keep levels of cash that is unimaginable just in case they have a bad day at work. But my 2 cents is that you should expand beyond the horizon and beyond the controls of the UK system. It is very important. If you have gotten to this category, expand your mind. Do not allow yourself be limited to the UK. It is very important. Remember Abramovich, the former owner of Chelsea. The last category are the people I call the Generational Diasporans. These people are people whose parents mostly left a better tomorrow for, and who have the capacity to manage what was left. So I would say that again. People who their parents left a better tomorrow for, and who have the capacity to manage what was left. You also find some ultra elite from Africa buy this for their kids. The people in this category might be best known as very good portfolio managers. And often They were born in the UK to parents who were mostly system lovers. And their parents worked all their lives, but the kids mostly are the ones that will enjoy the fruits of their labor. You see, generational diasporans have mostly never applied for visa, ILR, or naturalization, but at least by themselves. It was either handed down to them, it was handed over to them by their parents, or sorted for them through some way, shape, or form. So they may not necessarily have any comparison to judge the UK as a trump. They may not like some of the inheritance tax that they paid, but they've known and prepared for it all their lives. Their parents gave them the right to look at the world differently. You see, we may not have started in this category, but we have the opportunity to ensure that our future generations end up here. From our analysis, you can see it's not just about money. It's about your mindset. It's about your legacy. It's about the values you leave behind. Because you can leave immense wealth for your kids. But if they don't have the right knowledge, the right mindset, they could lose everything you ever worked for and end up in an even worse situation. For some of us though, when they say there is a casting down, we say there is a lifting up. Because the earth is the Lord's and its fullness thereof. We know how to abase and we know how to abound. We are driven by by God's direction for our lives rather than the economic landscape or what the chancellor says. My freedom from the UK system came when I lost a 6-figure job and a 6-figure business. And somehow I survived for over 14 months, trusting God daily. That was when I knew that no matter where I find myself, God is my source. No matter where I find myself, God is my source. And if this is you, I would like you to take an action. Write it in the comment section. No matter where I find myself, God is my source. Please like, share, comment, and also subscribe to this channel for more encouraging content like this. If experience is your best teacher, you can ignore the things that we have talked about. But if, like me, you prefer to learn from the experience of other people, please always pay attention to anything that we discuss in this channel. I'll see you on the next one. I remain your host, Mobile. See you on the next one. Bye. This is the cost of the dream.